Synod on Synodality has begun again because we didn't have enough synodalism just yet. And there was a penitential service that was disturbing because different folks claimed sins in the name of all the baptized.
This is a word salad gobbledygook. And that's part of the scandal that continues to rock Holy Mother Church. What exactly is the sin against synodality? Where do I find that in the Catechism? Where do I find that in the early Church Fathers? Where do I find that in sacred scripture?
But according to Cardinal Fernandez, that we are indoctrinating the teaching of the church. And he says, risking reducing it to a pile of dead stones to be thrown at others. And I say, back at you, bud. Back at you. I feel like stones are coming from your direction towards me and to the people who believe what the church has always taught.
By the way, my name is Joe McLean. I host a radio program called A Catholic Take, where we look at the world through a Catholic lens. I'd love for you to hang out with us. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments below.
But did you see the Synod on Synodality? You just can't kick off the latest season of the Synodality without some sort of ceremony. And we saw a big ceremony out of the Vatican yesterday. His Holiness Pope Francis presiding a penitential service on the eve of the Synod with cardinals confessing a list of new sins. A list of new sins. Let me read to you real quick the list of sins that he had his cardinals recite. Now, Pope Francis wrote these prayer intentions, and each of the cardinals stood up and read their bit. But the sins against peace, sins against creation, against indigenous populations, against migrants, sin against abuse, sin against women, family, and youth, sin of using doctrine as stones to be hurled, sin against poverty, sin against synodality, lack of listening, communion, and participation of all. Emphasis added. I'm just curious, where are some of these other sins that we might consider, like sin for committing abortion, contraception, in vitro fertilization, sin against marriage outside of the sacrament. There's so many other actual sins that we have to confess. Sins of using pornography, for instance. There's so many sins that we confess in the confession, but aren't on this list. I found that very, very interesting. Well, you know who else found this very, very interesting was colleague here at the Station of the Cross, Father Robert McTagg. He is the host of the Catholic Current, which you can hear weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all across the Station of the Cross Catholic Media and iCatholic Radio on our mobile app. And I got to tell you, he and I had a great conversation yesterday because he was on fire about this. He was pretty upset about this. I want to play a clip for you that one of his comments in regards to the Synod on Synodality.
And their gratitude. You and I, we sit in front of a microphone. We wonder if anybody hears us. And then to actually meet people and see that we're helping souls. This is why we get out of bed every morning and do our best. And now, friends, in this time of crisis, judgment would be upon us as Catholic people in the media if we didn't tell you this is the truth as we see it, and this is what you need to know. So what we're talking about today is the Synod on Synodality has begun again because we didn't have enough synodalism just yet. And there was a penitential service that was disturbing because different folks claimed sins in the name of all the baptized. I was baptized today in 1961. This is getting under my skin. But now let's turn to one of the most senior cardinals in the Holy See, Cardinal Victor Fernandez, who's the prefect of the Dicastery of the Doctrine of the Faith. And he was asking for forgiveness. How did he put it? He says, for all the times in the church, especially as pastors who are trusted with the task of confirming our brothers and sisters in the faith, have not been able to guard and propose the gospel as a living source of eternal newness. Some translations have it as eternal novelty. Let's just stop for a moment. I remember many years ago, a friend of mine was ordained, and first Mass outside of the parish he was assigned at, people shaking hands, and this old man emerged out of the crowd, thumped him in the chest, got his hand in an iron grip, and said, remember this, Father, novelty is the lust of the theologian. and then he disappeared into the crowd. That always stuck with me. But according to Cardinal Fernandez, that we are indoctrinating the teaching of the church. And he says, risking reducing it to a pile of dead stones to be thrown at others. And I say, back at you, bud. Back at you. I feel like stones are coming from your direction towards me and to the people who believe what the church has always taught. There's been a lot of stone throwing the past 10 years. I can't help but notice. And a lot of the stones seem to be aimed at people who know what the church has taught, love what the church has already made, and have been listening to what the Spirit has already said. So it strikes me that this is not a true public contrition. This is instead an ideological drama being acted out. So it's a combination of virtue signaling, and it's also marking people with a black brush so that when it's time for tar and feathering, the mob will know who to hate. This is Orwellian. And friends, I was planning to answer your questions live on the air. We'll certainly get that tomorrow, but I feel honor bound, duty bound to address what's happening in Rome right now. It is disturbing. It is a cause for scandal. And we're just going to tell you the truth as we see it. We're going to tell you what the church has always taught. We know that you want that from us because you keep asking for more. We need your help right now in staying on the air, paying the bills. So would you call us, please, with your best gift at 1-877-711-8500. You can donate online, safe and secure, thestationofthecross.com and the iCatholic Radio mobile app. All of this audio will be available on our podcast platform, but you'll be able to brag to your friends. I was there. I was listening on October 1st, the anniversary of Father McTague's baptism, when his hair was on fire because of the Synod on Synodality in Rome. That'll give you bragging rights. Back to you, Joe.
It does give you bragging rights. Praise be to God. I'm going to be linking to that in the show notes today, but boy, oh boy, he is right. This is a word salad gobbledygook. And that's part of the scandal that continues to rock Holy Mother Church. What exactly is the sin against synodality? Where do I find that in the Catechism? Where do I find that in the early Church Fathers? Where do I find that in sacred scripture? I can tell you, because I read the gospel today, that sacred scripture from today's gospel, if you go to Mass today at the Novus Ordo, you're going to hear this passage, but they're going to skip verse 6, 7, 8, and 9. They're going to skip straight over the don't cause scandal or you could go to hell piece. Scandals will come, but woe unto him that where it comes. This is a real issue in the church today. And I got to say, when you're saying things like, hurling doctrine as stones, you're further dividing Holy Mother Church. There are so many Catholics today that are leaving the church because of the continued scandals that come out fast and furious, because of the gobbledygook, because of the ambiguity of things, allowing others to take the ball and cross the line of heterodoxy. And it's insane. We must be clear and concise. We must be faithful and orthodox in these dark times. And that is what we do here at the Station of the Cross. We must speak, and we feel an obligation to do so because we know we're going to have to give an account for what we have done, as Father McTague made clear with this microphone. And we know that you care about that too, which is why we want you on our team. We need your financial contribution to continue to do what we do. In Catholic radio, we're pretty unique. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not trying to throw any of my colleagues around the country in Catholic radio under the bus. I'm really not. But I got to tell you, the things that we get to talk about here, conversations of substance and consequence, we don't get to, I can tell you, I've been in the business a while now. I don't get to have those conversations elsewhere. The Station of the Cross is doing that because they're bold and courageous, because they know the times we live in, and they know that truth is needed now more than ever. And that truth is a person. That person is Jesus Christ. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And no one gets to the Father but by him. Not all religions lead to God. Just ask the Aztecs. Ask the Buddhists, the Hindus, the Muslims. I'm telling you, we must profess the truth, but we need your financial contribution to get that done. Would you consider a gift right now? 877-711-8500 is that phone number. 877-711-8500. Is it important to you that an apostolate like ours gets to continue to do what we do? 20 stations, 20 radio stations. That's radio towers. That's transmitters. That's electric bills. That's equipment. That's internet bills. That's insurance. There's staff. There's studio equipment. There's a lot of expenses that we need to pay to continue to do what we do. Would you support us in that? 877-711-8500.
Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.